We take the example of, say, Iran, which Mr. Tyrrell dwells upon quite a lot. We said for a long time it was a mistake for the United States to overthrow the government of Iran in 1954, a crime, in fact, and a mistake to impose the Shah. We said if you keep the Shah in power, it won't work. He's a real failure, a real tyrant, and there will be hell to pay. When the hell to pay actually comes, and we're proved right, the chaos turns on everybody, and who's identified as the wrong person to have been? We are, for having told you.
You know,
and the difficulty with integrating your analysis is that you assume, and in the first place, one should never use mistake and crime as coterminous in situations, in political situations. Crime involves a mens rea, and there was no mens rea that I can think of in attempting to remove Mossadegh, who was a self-proclaimed dictator. Now, you are also asking us to believe that if in 1954 Mossadegh had taken over, the age of Khomeini would never have come. Well, presumably not. But this doesn't argue that the removal of Mossadegh was not at that time the judicious thing to do, and it certainly brought 30 years or 25 years of relative progress in Iran by your standards. That is to say, attempts to give more hospitals, more schooling, more literacy, more what we call...
But what about the women?
Well, first,
what about the women?
First, you're familiar with the joke expression, worse than a crime, a mistake. I mean, I'm sorry if I was conflating the two. I think mistake would be euphemism, crime might be an overstatement. Let's say, anyway, historic blunder. Note the irony. If you read the memoirs of those, Kermit Roosevelt of the CIA and Christopher Woodhouse of British intelligence, who organized the overthrow of Mossadegh, you'll notice that their main allies in the overthrow of the Iranian left and center-left were the mullahs, that it was the mobs of backward fanatics and religious leadership who were employed to do that job, and who were thus given a larger role in Iran in the first place. The Shah continually compromised with them too. Indeed, though he blasphemed them by calling himself in one of his own titles the shadow of God, he certainly posed always as the defender of Shia Islam. Shia Islam is not a new political phenomenon in Iran just because it was only discovered by the newspapers when the Shah was collapsing. I'd still like to reiterate my grievance, if you don't think I'm sounding plaintive. It's that now we're attacked because it's all gone wrong in Iran and life there is hell. And there's a filthy theocratic dictatorship where for some reason they can't seem to separate religion and politics. And I've no doubt there's mandatory school prayer. We who warned that this would happen if it went on under the despotism of the Shah are now blamed for it and made to carry the can.
Well, you are blamed in the sense that you were the point man at a critical period during which we forced the Shah to behave in a way that proved suicidal. You don't, when a regime is tottering, urge that particular moment for amnesty for all political prisoners. It doesn't make much sense, does it?
Well, no, I've been calling for that amnesty from long before. I wouldn't stop calling for it just because the regime was tottering.
Bill,
I mean, you'd be asking me to do the impossible.
Well, it depends on whether you have the clairvoyance to see what the immediate alternatives are. Unhappily, Mr. Carter did not, right?
Well, if you had clairvoyance, you wouldn't be in that position in the first place. So I think there's an undistributed middle in your logic.
No, wait a minute. I'm careful about undistributed middles. If there were the foresight, if you prefer, to see to it that there wasn't a third alternative waiting in the wings in Iran, there was going to be either this madman or the Shah, who in fact was rather liberal-oriented, as these people go. If you knew that there was no third alternative, one ought not to have hesitated to back the Shah. That's not an ideological position, and certainly one with which I should think, given that you so convincingly deplore the excesses of the Ayatollah, for instance, school prayer, that you would agree with me about this.
I'm prepared to leave you occupying the position that that the Shah could have been saved, because you'd rather say could, I suspect, in your best moments, you'd rather say could than should have been saved. But note that you're putting the worst case straight away. I'm asked to say, what do you do when a man has plunged you into a position where he says it's either me or barbarism? I would say you'd have to ask, who is this guy that he's led us to that choice?
No, you're making
and that is the same mistake as you made with Somoza, and as you have made with El Salvador, and in the process of making in the Philippines. And again, I can tell Who's going to be blamed when it goes wrong? The people who never thought Somoza or Marcos was a good bet in the first place are going to be blamed.